Here we are, the Wolverine. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome James Mangold, the director of the Wolverine.
This is a tough guy movie. I think one of the things Hugh and I set out to do was, with the space we had with making a movie just about Logan, and maybe there was another one that set out to do that, but it ended up with a lot of other mutants in it as well. We had enough space here to make a movie about Logan, about inside him, and I think, and about his journey and where he comes from and where he's headed.
Yes.
Well, the whole Japanese setting gave me kind of, I hoped, a license to change the tone a little bit, to ratchet things both up and down a little bit, meaning make the action, I hope you agree when you see it, a little more intense, a little more physical. You know, Logan is one of the few superheroes who can't jump tall buildings in a single bound, can't change the atmosphere, can't fly out of our atmosphere, can't pull a 747 down. But what he can do, other than knock over a bottle, is he can use his claws, and he has indestructible. He has an incredible spinal cord, and a skeleton, and he can heal. And it's like, what is so important to me about Logan in this is that we get inside the anger and the rage that has defined the character in comic books for years, but I don't think has had a chance to be seen both in action and drama in the film itself.
Fantastic. And we've seen Wolverine. This will be the 6th movie that he's in, I believe, and I think next year is 7th.
Well, that includes the 28 seconds of the last one, yeah.
But that's pretty incredible if you think that they were all portrayed by the same man. I mean, this man has been the same superhero more than Christopher Reeve was Superman. He's been, this character.
I think Jeff Hugh is there's been some roles in history. I think Clint as the man with no name. I think Sean Connery as the first Bond. I think Hugh Jackman is in that strata. I think that he encompasses both. I think what fans love about him is he encompasses both the physicality of the role and also the heart of the role. I think no matter what he does and who he hurts and who he's cutting and who he's cursing, you can see in his eyes there's something beyond that. I also think, to just say, I don't think Hugh has ever been in this kind of shape for a movie before, and I think he's been in pretty badass shape before, but what Hugh did before we started this, after being skin and bones in Les Mis, and then bulking up for this movie, I think it's pretty phenomenal, and if you haven't seen it in the trailers, it is phenomenal. I've made a few movies, but I can't tell you what a pleasure it is to be here and share this with you. It's been a 2.5-year journey with a great friend, bringing the Claremont Miller saga to the screen. I've loved these stories all my life. I've loved this world and this character all my life. And I hope when you see it in only a few days, you'll agree with me that my partner and I got somewhere bringing it to the screen. My partner, who I'm speaking about, is a friend for the last 12 years, who I got the honor to make another film with many years ago, 12 years ago to be exact. And I think he's done a pretty damn good job playing the Wolverine over those 12 years. Mr. Hugh Jackman.
What?
Hello, All H.
It's so great seeing the Wolverine up there. And for you, I mean, what can you tell us about the journey the character has in this movie? It's an extraordinary change for him.
Everything Jim and I wanted to do about this movie was to make sure that for fans who have seen the X-Men movies, first Wolverine movie, or for those who haven't, this is something completely fresh, completely different. Obviously, you guys know it emanates from probably one of the most famous comic book arcs, the Japanese story or Samurai Saga. And 13 years ago, I first read that in my trailer, that comic book, whilst being in my trailer filming X-Men 1, and I said to Lauren Shuladonna, this is the movie we need to make. Well, 13 years later, it's here. I think you get to understand way more about the character than you've ever seen before. And as many of you have said to me on planes, in the street, in various places around the world, you finally get to see the Berserker rage in full. So I hope you enjoy it.
We see a Wolverine who does suffer, who is in peril, because he's always healed before, but things are a little different in this movie, right?
Well, I don't want to give anything away, but I think that one of the things that we wanted to explore in this film that was resonating throughout Claremont Miller, and I think is a big issue for any character that doesn't die, that can recover from any injury, or in Logan's case, I guess almost any injury, is how do you go on living when everyone you know and love fades away? What is that like? You know, we've seen even in the first Origins and in the other X-Men and in our film, we see Logan's been present through history. And we know through the comic books he's been present through history. He's been here a long time. But what's that like? Falling in love, losing the people you care about, watching people die, and having to start again. And let's be honest, Logan isn't exactly the most socially adept character we've ever seen in comic books. So when you lose the people you're intimate with, at some point you start to withdraw and get low. And it was our decision when we decided where we're going to start this film in relation to the timeline of everything else, that we were going to begin when Logan's lost everybody. Fantastic. He's lost everybody. The X-Men, Professor X, Jean Grey, by his own hand, in fact. And so when we find him in the Yukon as Claremont Miller begins, we're finding also a character who has retreated from relationships with other living people. But Logan loves women. Logan has always loved women. If there's one place,
Yeah.
I mean, you comment on.
Yeah, no, we talked about this right from the beginning. It was another thing, apart from the relationship with Jean Grey, I felt we could go way further with it, and is in the DNA of the comic book series, is that his saving grace and his kryptonite is women. So finally in this movie there are 4 incredible female characters. There is, as you saw briefly there, Jean Grey is back. You get to understand probably more of that relationship, what it means to him. But there are 3 other great female characters, and personally, and on behalf of Wolverine, that was a great thing.
This is a little specific, but the claws look different this time around.
We retooled them a little, just a little. We did a couple things. I think you might notice the hair is a little less
Nutty.
80s rock. And the claws we added. I actually went back and we had props. I was just looking at detailed drawings in Claremont Miller and saying there's a lot more bevels and a lot more stuff happening on these blades. The blades in the comic book were more lethal from every direction. And the ones that I had seen when they brought out the ones that they had used in previous films, it looked like you could only get cut one way. Well, we wanted to make it you could get cut 2 ways. So
3.
There's
saying yes.
A lot of puncture wounds, yes. And some real puncture wounds, let me tell you. I have punctured my thighs, my forehead, Mystique double, got it in the arm, so I'm a little dangerous with those claws. But so in the making of and also in the movie, there's quite a lot of puncture holes.
But the point I was making is that fight between those two. Hiroyuki is one of the great swordsmen and martial artists of Japan and a great action star there. And Hugh, and he deserves it. He's amazing and has a canon of films behind him. And that fight with long sword and short sword and claw was something to behold and is on the film, but was also something, me kneeling beside the camera, to behold in real life, because these two badasses were going at it with blades, and it was just about staying out of each other's way. Those were sharp.
Jeff, hang on. Sorry, I've just got one little thing to add. It's not very often I'm here, but listen. One of the great things that being in movies like this, these big blockbusters, playing a character like this has afforded me is the opportunity to do other things. I've had great opportunities which this role has offered me. And particularly being able to do smaller, more indie movies. And I hope you don't mind, Jeff. I certainly hope Fox doesn't mind. But I'd love to take this opportunity to introduce you to the director of a movie I've got coming up. It's a smaller movie, and I'd like to bring him out on stage. It won't take long. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryan Singer.
Whoa! Bryan Singer.